Hello, my name is Raya Terran. Today is June 17th, 2024. So I went to Cooper Union. That's where I got my art degree. I graduated in 2019, and I've been living in Brooklyn ever since I graduated. When I was in my junior year, I went on exchange in London to the Slade School of Art, and that's where I really fell in love with painting. And I decided that I wanted to commit myself to painting. And that's still going strong. But I'm always also going to be drawing, and that's something that I've always done. It's just that painting came a bit later. I've always been drawing. My upbringing, I would say my upbringing had two parts to it. The first 8 years, I was traveling with my mom a lot. She used to be a singer-songwriter, so I was exposed to a lot of music, a lot of singer-songwriters, and especially her music, and a lot of nature and kind of hippies, adventure, and the second half of my upbringing, the second 8 years, was a lot more structured. I was a ballet dancer, believe it or not. And in many ways it was a polar opposite context to exist in. But both of these worlds were very female-centric, and both of them were very, I felt that they were both very aesthetic in nature and very much about beauty and art, and that was always very important to me and influential to my own tendency to make things, drawing and otherwise. What are my biggest influences? I would say one of my biggest influences is the language of songwriting. I don't write songs myself, but I'm influenced by this, and specifically folk songs. They tend to tell stories and convey emotions through details, through very specific details, without spelling it out what it's all supposed to mean, but it allows the listener to arrive at the meaning themselves through those specific experiences, and I love that, and I would say that's the language that I am working in when I'm painting and drawing and working visually. What are you focusing on right now? Well, at the moment I'm working on leaving New York, so not that much artistically. I've been working on a couple paintings, but recently I was kind of on this volcano kick. I made this painting of a bunch of people holding on to a volcano, like hugging a volcano. And around the same time, I left and went to this residency where they had printmaking equipment. They had a printing press. So this was the first time I've really done this, where I took the same like kind of similar image, and tried it again and again in different ways. And when I came back and I finished that painting, and I was like, I want to make another painting like this, but a little different. And so yeah, I got really into the volcanoes. There's other imagery that's kind of come up in my work over and over again, but this is the first time when I was like, I'm not afraid to make maybe not exactly the same painting again, but to keep exploring this one thing very stubbornly, and it was fun. What is the biggest challenge that you face as an artist? Well, I would say that besides the material challenges, being an artist usually comes with a certain amount of financial uncertainty, but that's an obvious one. One thing I think about a lot, and this has come up a lot over the years, is how to deal with feeling misunderstood or misrepresented as an artist. And I don't think I'm the only one who deals with this, but I think there's always going to be some kind of obvious read of your work. And if your work is not communicating something very obvious and very clear, then there's probably going to be something that maybe people go to, because I think that actually taking in a work of art, actually looking at a painting, or any kind of art really, movies, songs, anything, it's not always easy, I think that you kind of have to give up control a little bit. And there's always going to be people that maybe aren't up for that, and they kind of quickly project something onto your work that feels a bit reductive. And I always ask myself, for me, if you're curious, the thing that comes up a lot is I have people tell me that my work is about suffering and violence. And I have several theories for why this might happen. I don't go into it, but I do ask myself, is there something that I'm doing that's causing people to get this read out of my work that I don't feel like I'm putting in there? Or is this something that I should let happen, Should I step back and allow the fact that there's going to be this layer that some people might stop at and other people won't? I don't know. I'm still figuring that out. What advice would I give my younger self? I would tell my younger self to take people's advice and criticisms with a grain of salt, because it's often a manifestation of their own fears and their own experiences, and it may or may not be relevant to your life. I would also try to urge myself to not take the things people do or say too personally, because everybody else is fighting with their own beasts, and if you find yourself caught between somebody and the beast they're fighting, you don't have to stay there. What kinds of unconventional mediums or techniques have I tried? Well, unconventional is very relative, but I would say, because my main mediums are oil painting, drawing, and and making monotypes when I have access to the equipment for that. When I was in college, I had access to a dark room and a film processing lab, which I don't know if I'll ever have that again, but I really loved it, and I loved making I would use medium format film, black and white film, and kind of I've never been much of a technician, so I would kind of allow the film to get a little messed up, and I loved the way that they could kind of make marks that felt like a charcoal drawing in a way. I loved playing with the softness of that and having those photographs on the wall next to drawings and next to paintings and allowing them to talk to each other. I think I could see myself exploring papier-mâché, clay, plaster, maybe fabric a bit more, but maybe in another lifetime. I don't know. I do find those mediums very fascinating. I think it would be cool to get into costumes and big sculptures that you could go inside of. I've had moments where I've felt compelled to explore that, but I you can only do so much. Do I listen to music while working? Yes, I almost always listen to music. I usually have 2 or 3 albums I'm listening to a lot at any given time. What do I hope people will take away from my art? Well, I guess I touched on this a little bit before, but I don't think it is too much my business to try to dictate what people get out of my art. And I think also I would reframe this, because I don't know if I see art as something that you take something away from. I think maybe I don't like the idea that you're supposed to extract something from a work of art. I'm more interested in the idea that there's some kind of chemical reaction that occurs between each individual person and the work of art that they're looking at. And maybe if they look at it at another time, there'll be something else that happens. And I hope that whatever it is something surprising that I wouldn't have ever thought of.